to another episode of the Scaling Brokerage Podcast. Today, Oscar's been kind enough to bless us with some of his time, share some of his experiences as a brokerage owner. So I'll kick it right off to Oscar and let him tell us a little bit about himself and his business over there.
Sure. Thanks, Jake, and thanks for having me.
Of course.
My name is Oscar Arciniegas, and I own a small brokerage company called Lima Realty. We're based in Illinois in the suburbs. I've been a managing broker owner since 2010 of July. So in July 2025, I'll be in business for 15 years.
Oh, nice.
I haven't expanded my brokerage, but that's not out of the realm of possibilities. I'm just kind of in a unique position where not only do I own a brokerage, but I also have another stream of income. So I kind of balance both worlds.
Oh, nice. And just curious, is it something that is it like title, mortgage, property management, something that kind of coincides with the brokerage, or totally separate?
It's completely separate. It's in healthcare. They don't conflict with each other. And so I just happen to be fortunate enough where I'm able to balance both in one world.
Nice. Hey, that's awesome. Well, tell us a little bit, take us back to 2010. Tell us a little bit about how you got started.
Yeah, so that's an interesting story, Jake. So my first role out of actual college, this goes back to a long time ago, was in banking, and I was in banking for a while. And my father, growing up as a kid, he was always very handy. He was an engineer, he was a vice president. But as a small kid, I'm going not even further back, he would always take me with him to fix the car or what have you.
Yeah.
He worked on the house. He worked on other people's houses. And so when I was in banking, I figured out my first job was a mortgage closer. And I learned how to read RESPA statements and do a lot of lending and some of the back end of title work. And so I quickly figured out that there was opportunity to make money in real estate. In particular, because I knew how to do some of the contracting stuff at that point. And so I ended up purchasing a foreclosure sight unseen back in 2005. And when you purchase a foreclosure sight unseen, typically what happens is you go to an auction and you put a down payment down and you owe the balance in 24 hours. So when you do that, you really have to kind of know what you're looking for in the property, if there's value, if there's margins, what the title looks like. Are there any pending any liens? So you got to do all that background work. And so I was fortunate enough to execute on that. And while I was doing that, I had to sell the property. So I tried to sell it by owner because realtors are expensive, right? And so back then, it was on the precipice of the height of the market. So I ended up hiring a realtor and I ended up paying them an extra, $10,000, $20,000. And after the transaction, after I cashed out of my proceeds, I went back and I thought, gosh, I could be that guy that sells real estate and all I have to do is get licensed. Well, I thought about that for a while, Jake, and fast forward to 2008, while I was, doing this banking stuff and thinking about that. At one point, I wanted to become a lawyer. That didn't work out. I took the LSAT. It was an excruciating test.
Oh, yeah.
But at that time, it was a horrible job market. And so I was like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, what's going to give me the biggest return? And at the time, my mom was working at a community college, and she said, you can take whatever class you want here for free. And so I said, oh, wow. So I looked and there was all the real estate classes.
Oh,
And
nice.
so I took them all for free, even had a discount on the books, and I took the appraisal classes. So it was a win-win situation. I ended up taking all the classes at night and I ended up getting licensed in 2010. I was asked by some of the professors if I wanted to join their larger agencies. I said, no, I'm kind of just going to take my time and scale what I'm doing. And I ended up just kind of building my own company, and I named it after my parents, which are Alfonso and Maria, and that's where the name comes from, Lima Realty. And I've been kind of slowly building a book of business, and word of mouth is huge. And so here I am almost 15 years later, and Some of that still remains the same. Of course, we've had a lot of changes since then,
Oh, yeah.
but that's pretty much how I started in a nutshell, and how I continue to hold my license and continue now to just be word of mouth based. I mean, at this moment, that could change in the drop of a hat, though, Jake.
That's awesome. I love that. Love that. What I know we face a lot of things, starting kind of, on the back end of a slower market, with everything that happened in 2008 and 2009. So tell us a little bit about, what are some of the, and one I know that maybe being one of the, first initial challenges, but what's been one of the challenges you've had to face, in your ownership that's been, more difficult to overcome, that you think other brokers might be going through, similar struggles as well?
Right. That's a great question, Jake. I think the number one thing is identity and brand identity.
Right.
No one knows who Lima Realty is. I get it. You won't know why did I do it. Brand identity is huge because you're competing with the Redfins, the Remaxes, the Baird and Warner, the big names out there, and the Berkshire Hathaways. And unfortunately, you're just not recognizable.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what people, I think, end up seeing is the person, and the person is what overcomes those challenges, right? And so when I meet with people, I'm not the typical realtor, right? So because I have a diverse background, some of that comes out, some of that doesn't. And I'm not going to be the greatest fit for everybody. But the big number one challenge is brand identity.
I love it. No, I couldn't agree with you more. And it can be hard to, compete with those bigger guys. But there's, things that we can do that, might separate us apart, being more personal, having that, really, care for our member or our client, I should say. Where in some cases, those you might get lost in, a EXP, Keller Williams, LPT, whatever you have there.
Right.
So that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, and to dive into the marketing and lead gen side, I know you mentioned, or kind of, it sounded like, maybe don't do too much with just the word of mouth currently. Have you guys ever tried anything? Have you ever done anything to market yourself or your business in the past?
Oh, 100%. So, and so I had to create the website and everything by myself. So I learned all that. And there's a lot of plug and plays and things like that now, but, specific to marketing and lead gen, I ended up partnering with Redfin, and they've given me some leads here and there, and then there's some work out, some don't. In the beginning, I partnered with Realtor.com, or now I don't know what they go by. It's some other name, but I thought they were the best lead source. Zillow, I tried a few times. Wasn't a good fit for me. And so like this distinction between, I guess, appointment and leads is a big one. So if you're out there trying to, and I see this all the time on social media, you get all these ads about people trying to sell you leads. Well, leads could be anything that some data scrapes into your bucket and they call it a lead. But appointments are definitely different. I'm still with Redfin as a partner agent. I partner with them because a long time ago, I saw their platform evolve much quicker than ours in the MLS.
Oh, yeah.
And it's synonymous. All these younger buyers and clients all go to Redfin now. Well, it's intuitive, and I believe it's so easy to use. And we're a little bit outdated when it comes. I say we are as realtors, our local MLS and maybe your MLS is different, but I think the MLS is kind of outdated, and it should be a little bit more software based, and it's not. And it's kind of disappointing that way, but it doesn't deter you from partnering with other lead sources. I've stuck with Redfin, number one. I actually do some marketing via mail. I found that to be extreme ROI. And believe it or not, I mailed it out via using the post office, the EDDM. It's the Everyday Direct Door Mail. I do a couple of those in the spring, in the summer. That's been the biggest yield returner for marketing and referrals for me, are those two outlets. Everything else I've tried, and I'll try everything once, kind of falls in the category, oh, well, you have to pay a program, a fee up front, and then pay a fee per lead. And again, there's a big distinction between leads and appointments. And at this point in my current status, at going on my 15 years, the spheres of influence are huge. So I just rely on kind of that sphere of influence. But for anyone starting out, you're going to have to go, do something online, be it Google, YouTube, something. And I'm toying with the idea of doing some Google ads, and I've done Facebook ads, Google ads, and they're good, but they're not good, I guess. I mean,
Yes,
to
yeah,
get your,
kind of,
you know what I mean, Jake? Like,
yeah,
you got to almost have to do it to get your name out there. But the biggest things I found are those two that I mentioned.
absolutely. Absolutely. One and on the agent attraction side of things, you do anything to leverage that, in that same vein with, getting in front of agents or producers in the area?
I have not explored that avenue, and now that you put it in my mind, I need to really think hard about that, because what I'm seeing right now currently after these new NAR rules is a lot of agents are just getting out of the business.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It could be an opportunity there that's untapped, like where I could pick up more agents. But I haven't explored that just because of the way that my company's structured. It's just, it works for me, and I'm being selfish.
I got you. I got you. Yeah, maybe some others would like to have, that similar opportunity, you get with yourself there. But that could be very awesome for the agent there. Nice, nice. Well, and kind of the future vision and growth for yourself. We'll start with kind of short term. What's the goals for this year for you?
Sure. Well, I'd like to, I mean, dollar amount wise, revenue wise, I'd like to at least sell 5 million this year. And I think this might be the year I'm going to do it. I'm really not chasing too much. At one point in my earlier career, I was chasing every dollar, like going everywhere and doing everything. And, you got to go where the clients are. But this year I'm kind of doing a little bit differently. So that's huge for me. If I get the 5 million mark, that kind of tells you that, well, I'm not quite there yet, but I also have other things, family and those kind of things take priority in my life at this
Oh
moment.
yeah. Oh,
But a
yeah.
younger agent, like, you got to have big goals, achievable. So for me personally, and for company wide, it'd be like, just for me to hit 5 million by myself would be huge. And I can tell you right now, I'm almost halfway there, hopefully by the end of the first quarter. So it's looking good.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, and I know that was kind of short term, for this year. What about 5 years from now? I know 2030 kind of sounds futuristic. Um, what do you see yourself? Where do you see the company, 5 years down the road there?
I think I might actually, 5 years from now, hopefully I'm doing 25 million, but it would require me to bring on agents and train them and do things differently. And, that's something that I really need to think hard about and explore. Because it's possible for me to do it that way if I get in the luxury market, but just being in the spheres of influence, I know I might have to tap into another sphere of influence and work a different crowd. But
Yeah.
the other alternative would be, Jake, to hire other agents if they're willing to kind of keep things locally and grown and do those things.
Nice, nice. I love it. I love it. Lastly, for some of those newer brokerage owners out there that might be watching, kind of looking for that light at the end of the tunnel, story from you as well, or getting the light at the end of the tunnel story from you as well. What advice would you have for a new brokerage owner getting started in today's market?
In today's market, it's going to be tough the first couple of years, but it will pay dividends. You just have to be consistently, and you have to be disciplined. And the discipline part will get you through the rough parts.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know with us all, going into the online space, the last couple of years here being, with buyers and sellers being a lot more comfortable online, agents, working from home a lot more. Yeah, that can get hard. We lose some of that structure, of coming to the office, making sure we're really working. So that can definitely be big, keeping that, keeping that structure within yourself, and still being able to, go out there and facilitate deals, get in front of agents, make those quality connections that, build our sphere there.
100%. Some people still door knock,
Absolutely.
it might work. It might not. I think it worked to sell Ben Affleck's house. I think I read, and I was like blown away. So like, try everything once.
And I'm in a newer, like a newer build community too. So I still see the guys going around doing it for solar all the time, going around door knocking,
Oh yeah.
still pounding the pavement. So yeah, it's definitely a great way to get, right directly in front of, our potential, potential buyers, potential sellers, maybe potential referrals. Never know what, I know we talked about it on the podcast a lot, but creating that bridge, we never know who else is going to walk across it there. So it could definitely be huge for us. especially get it as a newer broker, newer agent, either side of the coin there. It'll definitely be helpful for us. Awesome. And we'll let the people know too, Oscar, where can they find you? Where can they get in touch with you? If there's any social media, phone number, email, anything like that, they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, sure. So my website is www.a as in Apple, L as in Larry, I as in Igloo, M as in Mary, A as in Apple, realty.com. It stands for Lima Realty. I mentioned it's about my parents. Emails limarealty@gmail.com, and then my phone number is 847-962-6594. If people have any questions, or that's totally fine.
I love it. We'll have everything linked down below in the comments, guys. So if you have any questions for Oscar, want to get to know more, or maybe curious if he's opening up that recruiting side as well, we'll have everything linked down there below, so you can get in contact. And I apologize, I don't know if I missed it, Oscar. Where did you mention you were out of or based out of there?
Sorry. So I'm based out of the suburb of Chicago, actually, Elk Grove Village, which is right by O'Hare, the airport. So.
Oh, that's very good. That's too funny. We just had a podcast a little earlier today with the nice lady from Chicago.
Really?
Big Chicago day. I love it. There's a lot of people out here in Arizona that moved from Chicago. I would have never known until I actually worked with a couple guys that are from Chicago, and then once they kind of sense it at a repair shop like almost 3 years ago now. Gosh, but yeah, they could sense it when someone walk in from Chicago. They're like, "Are you from Chicago?" And it's crazy. You at least get like one or two people. It seemed like a day. That moved from Arizona from Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, we take a beating in the winter weather right now, but we appreciate the sun a little bit more when it comes our way.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what a lot of them are. You're getting out of the snow, getting away from the cold. But awesome. I really appreciate you coming out today for the podcast, Oscar. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. And like I mentioned, guys, we'll have everything linked down below there, so you can get in touch or give Oscar a call if you have any questions, anything like that.
Jake, I appreciate you having me. Thank you.